know, it still has that feeling about it. I suppose it's a spiritual connection which, when you drive in here, straight away you just feel at ease.
It's part of our social fabric of the community. Probably a lot of people don't realise that, but it's our backyard.
It's a beautiful place to spend time because it's very peaceful. I love the trees. I love the whole heritage of it, the fact that it's Aboriginal heritage of 40,000 years, a geological heritage of 500 million years.
This is Gunbower Island State Forest. It's a river red gum forest spanning nearly 20,000 hectares in northern Victoria. 70 kilometres west of the old river port of Echuca, the forest is very close to the smaller farming communities of Kahuna and Kundruk. The Gunbower Forest is a very special place, a place where people enjoy spending time.
A lot of people just come out here now, just put up a tent camp here. They sit back and relax and hear in the morning, hear all the birds. Beautiful. Just go out, that's what I said to the wife, there's no way about fishing, and go out here and just relax. It's beautiful.
Surrounded by the River Murray and Gunbower Creek, the forest is officially recognised as an island, and it's part of one of the largest red gum forests in Australia. Gunbower Forest is an internationally recognised wetland, and it's a haven for locals, tourists and a diverse range of wildlife. It holds great cultural relevance, it's rich with history, but it is also under threat. Part of the River Murray floodplain, the forest has long had the benefit of water and nutrients carried by the regular annual floods of the Murray as it spilled its bank in spring. It was this environment that attracted the water birds and created ideal conditions for the red gums to colonise and create a very special ecology. The forest is recognised as home for more than 210 indigenous plant and 143 fauna species. But the regular flooding of the forest has now become a thing of the past. Dams and weirs on the Murray have reduced the river's flow, and the impact of a number of years of drought has been significant. Without help, the Gunbower forest may not survive.
Well, it was just an area where you had all the elements that you could survive, you know, in traditional living.
It's not surprising that the Gunbower forest was a natural food bowl for Aboriginal people. The regular flooding of the area created large permanent wetlands that meant a ready source of fish, birds, plants and animals. A number of sites in the forest provide links back to these times for the Yorta Yorta and Barappa Barappa communities.
There's a lot of sites in here. There's still stone artefacts sitting on the ground, like next to big ovens and that, which is like these guys hopped up last week and moved on somewhere. Those areas, I can go and sit at them and you get a feeling over you, like, you know, you get a sense of your home.
The area was also important to early European settlers because they realised the potential of Gunbower Creek as a way to channel water from the Murray. By 1890, there was a significant irrigation system supplying a considerable number of farms in the surrounding area. The forest was relied on as an important timber resource, supplying red gum for wharves, jetties, railway sleepers and bridges, as well as fuel for the River Murray paddle steamers. Timber harvesting in the forest continues today, but under the regulation of the Victorian Department of Sustainability and Environment through their forest managers. The history of the island is fascinating.
In 1965, when people starting cutting timber for the river, passing river boats. Sawmills started about that time. So with the sawmills, there were small settlements on the river, and there were schools out there. There was a cemetery at Cemetery Bend. In the 1890s, there was a camp for unemployed people, and again in the Depression of 1930s, there was a boys' camp out there, and unemployed men also camped out there. And then later on in World War II, there was an internment camp, and then after that, there was a refugee camp.
But these days, the thing that attracts people to the island is its wonderful fauna and flora, an important natural asset. The forest is a popular place to spend time for locals and for visitors who come from all over the country.
Gunbower Island is so important for the tourism in our town. We run lots of birds trips around here and take people out into the bush. The other day we went out and we spotted, well, there was 40 species that we ended up getting.
Yet it's these values of the forest, including the wildlife and the trees, that are now at risk.
You ever look at these trees around here, how beautiful they look. Go back in the high rides where they get no water, they're dead, just about dead.
There's places in this bush where there hasn't been water for years, and you can see the trees deteriorating. Like once you see a gum tree pencil at the top, when the leaves go and you see them penciling, that's the finish of that tree. It won't come back. When I first started in the bush here, well, every year, for quite a few years, we used to work for a certain thing and then the floods would come and we'd have to go out. So I went carting hay and all sorts of things like that till the water went down. But that every year, for quite a lot of years that happened, we had these floods. But I've been retired over 15 years and we've had one flood.
It was this regular flooding that maintained the permanent wetlands and watered the red gums. But with reduced flow in the river and a severe drought in recent times, many wetlands have become permanently dry. The trees, especially on the higher ground, are suffering. In response to the threat to Gunbower Forest's health, the North Central Catchment Management Authority, one of 10 catchment management authorities in Victoria, took action in the late 1990s to provide a lifeline to the forest. It initiated a project to bring water back to the forest to protect and maintain floodplain plant and animal communities. The project forms part of the Living Murray Initiative, a long-term plan coordinated by the Murray-Darling Basin Commission to return the River Murray system to a healthy, working river. Gunbower Forest, along with its neighbour the Kundrook-Perrakuta Forest in New South Wales, is one of 6 Living Murray icon sites along the river which need special attention for conservation and rehabilitation. The 5 other sites are situated along the River Murray in Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia. With funding from the Victorian State Government and the National Heritage Trust, the first step in working to enhance and protect the forest was to find out about its ecology and hydrology.
Initially, in the first few years, we ran a lot of investigation studies, so looking at how water moves on the floodplain, but also what kind of ecology we're trying to protect, so what kind of birds, frogs and vegetation existed historically in the forest and how we would protect them in the future. For example, colonial waterbirds require 5 to 6 months of water under red gum so that they can build their nests and raise their young. They also feed in a lot of the shallow inundated red gum areas. They browse along the vegetation and pick up little bugs.
The research process also involved tapping into the valuable knowledge of local community members.
The community are really important to the project. They give us a lot of historical context to the project and they give us insight to how the forest operates as a whole. And we like to inform and involve them in all aspects of the project so they have ownership of the project as well.
I live in it. I was born in it just about, right on the edge of it. There's not a part of this forest I haven't walked on. I don't reckon there is anyway. So I've walked all over it.
The knowledge and experience of local people like Norm is seen as integral to building a comprehensive picture of the forest's ecology and its natural flooding pattern.
They're taking notice of all the people who can give them good advice, and they're putting it to good use, and they'll come back and sort out all the bits and pieces and then go ahead and do the job. So I think the catchment management is probably the best thing that's happened to our wetlands.
The implementation stage of the North Central CMA's project started in 2003 with the first release of what is called an environmental flow. That is, water released specifically for an environmental benefit. With the use of existing structures known as regulators, water flowed into the Gunbower forest from Gunbower Creek.
In Victoria we have water set aside especially for the environment, so every year water managers put in bids to have a parcel of this water. Gunbower Forest has been going through this process in the past, but in the future the Living Murray initiative will provide water for Gunbower Forest.
So this water is specifically provided for wetlands such as Gunbower Forest and to protect the flora and fauna, the plants and animals that are there.
Through the Living Murray initiative, funding was provided for new engineering works to enable environmental water flows to reach wetlands and river red gum populations more efficiently. In 2006, the works carried out as part of this North Central CMA flooding enhancement project have started to show very encouraging results.
We've had colonial water birds breeding this year. Great egrets moved into the forest. We've got lots of photos and results from the monitoring program that tells us that the frogs are back in the forest, they're breeding, colonial water birds are breeding in the forest, and the vegetation has responded fantastically.
The ongoing monitoring process continues to document the improvement to the forest's health.
We've seen quite a lot of wildlife. We've seen quite a lot of frogs and birds, and we've seen breeding great crested grebes, which was quite exciting, and a little bittern at Reedy Lagoon. In terms of the health of the native vegetation, there's not a lot of weeds in the wetlands themselves. So particularly within the Gunbower, the parts of the Gunbower we've looked at, it's pretty much 100% indigenous cover. Reedy Lagoon in particular is probably one of the healthiest billabongs I've seen on the Murray River.
Another important aspect of the flooding enhancement project is its time frame.
One of the great things about this project is it's a long-term monitoring project, and that's quite a rare thing to actually monitor changes over a period of 5-10 years, as opposed to just 1 or 2 years. It's a fantastic thing that it's repeated so that we can really assess the change.
Forests like this at Gunbower, with its wonderful wetland environments, are unique natural assets which demand ongoing care and attention. With continued monitoring and the delivery of environmental flows, we can hope that every year the waterbird colonies will increase, the stressed trees will regain their health and regenerate, and the Gunbower Forest will continue to be home for an ever-increasing number of our wonderful native plants and wildlife. "150 years of landscape change has had a profound effect on the environment. It's important to remember that it will take long-term commitment to repair, restore and enhance our natural environment. Work needs to continue to ensure that icons such as Gunbower Forest have a future.
If we want our kids and our grandkids and the future generations to have such an asset like we've got now, we have to get water out into the forest and get it back looking healthy.
I think we're heading down the right track, and I just hope I'll live long enough to see it come to fruition.